See, Action News 5's Janice Broach has a look back at the case that divided the Mid-South and the next step in the search for justice.
Well, this is clearly a case that has captured the nation as well as the Mid-South. And now we are learning that evidence in the case of the West Memphis Three has either been destroyed or is missing. Evidence that Damian Eccles' attorneys wanted to do new DNA testing on. Almost 30 years ago, 3 8-year-old boys were discovered murdered, and 3 teenagers were charged in the case.
I'm not the judge, I'm not the jury, but they never had any sort of physical evidence that connected us to this crime.
That was Damian Eccles when I interviewed him in 2012. He is correct. Investigators never found any evidence that tied him, Jason Baldwin, or Jesse Miskelly to the murders of the 8-year-old boys, Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers. The children were found nude and hog-tied in a creek in a wooded area in West Memphis. Their bikes were found by a pipe nearby. The boys were so mutilated, investigators thought the murders were part of some kind of satanic ritual. The 3 teens were arrested after Jesse Miskelly confessed to the crime after 12 hours of interrogation. The 3 were convicted in 1994, but have always maintained their innocence. They were released in 2011 after prosecutors agreed to an Alford plea in which the men maintained their innocence but pleaded guilty. It allowed them to get out of prison after almost 20 years. Even though they said they didn't do it, they are technically convicted killers. And that is why Damian Eccles has attorneys who want to use a new DNA test called MVAC, a wet vacuum system that can find more DNA than older tests. But Eccles' attorneys got a letter from the custodian of records for the West Memphis Police Department saying some of the evidence ended up lost or misplaced and some destroyed by a fire. A source told me the evidence was transferred to shipping containers where there was a fire and some of the evidence was destroyed. Damian Eccles tweeted, quote, "New technology and evidence in science would now allow us to test DNA in amounts so small that it would have been previously impossible. The state of Arkansas continues to attempt to prevent this testing from happening." Terry Hobbs, stepfather of victim Stevie Branch, who was under suspicion but never charged, said he welcomes the new DNA testing.
I'd like to see this be put to rest. This has affected a lot of lives out here, and we're all trying to move on and live, but so for some reason it keeps being brought up.
Attorneys for Damian Eccles have submitted this formal request. They want to inspect the records that are available, including cataloging of the evidence as well as information on the loss of that evidence. Now, Eccles told me in 2012 he will never give up his mission to exonerate himself. In West Memphis, Janice Broach, WMC Action News 5.